his team. The gambler and the Cowboys last night in Hollywood, Hall of Famer, three-time Super Bowl champ Emmitt Smith spoke on the distractions caused by contract situations like Micah's, and he knows from his own experience. Take a listen.
They had to answer these questions every day.
Right.
So they got to deal with something that had nothing to do with the game of football.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's a distraction. Like, these questions right now have nothing to do with this movie tonight.
Right.
Nothing. It's a distraction. It's what you want to talk about. It's not really why I'm here.
Stephen A., how do these distractions impact the Cowboys?
Well, it gets Jerry and the Cowboy brand the attention it covets, which obviously contributes to his bottom line, which is extremely important to him.
Mm-hmm.
But whether he knows it or not, it's eroding the brand as it pertains to the respect it once garnered, because he's become synonymous with the brand, and people's respect for Jerry Jones is dissipating before his very eyes. He is, if you listen to him speak and some of the things that he said, I have affection for the man. You know, the conversations that I have with them, I got a lot of love for Jerry Jones. But some of the things that have come out of his mouth over the last year or so, I found myself, I literally said this on this show. I looked at him and I looked at Joe Biden. I mean, when Joe Biden was losing, I said, what's wrong with Jerry? Literally, they quoted me on 105.3 in Dallas. I was like, I'm worried about the man. I really was, because some of the stuff that he was saying made no sense whatsoever. When you go back and listen to the quotes about Derrick Henry and others, and you're like, what are you talking about? It makes no sense. But then this year, it took on a life of its own because of the flagrant disrespect that he has shown towards Micah Parsons. To talk with this young man, to know who you are as a businessman, and to talk to a 25, 26-year-old football player and act like that's tantamount to an agreement without his representation, to go around talking as if you really did have an agreement. I don't know what anybody's talking about. That's taking advantage. That's bullying. And Micah Parsons by David Mulligata, I mean, this is one of the best agents in football, and to act like you've negotiated something when you haven't even talked to that man is really, really alarming. And then to go out there with Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin are like, yo, this is not good. This is not good. And Emmitt Smith would know a thing or two what he's talking about. I would ask everybody to go back to 1993. Look at that right there. That is Emmitt Smith after signing a record deal with the Dallas Cowboys. They had won the Super Bowl, and then the next year they started out 0-2. And then the next year they started out 0-2 because Jerry Jones did not want to pay him. I'm telling you right now, that's more than 30 years ago, and I never saw somebody signing a new contract looking more pissed off than Emmitt Smith looked at that press conference, because he was like, we were reigning Super Bowl champions. How we here? You know, Troy Aikman, you ain't have no problem signing him. Years later, we look at the troubles he was giving Dak Prescott. You didn't have any problems with Tony Romo. Why is it that you with Emmitt Smith? Why was it with Dak Prescott before? Why is it with Micah Parsons now? These are the kind of things that are eroding the Cowboy brand because it's synonymous with Jerry, not the overall Cowboy brand. You know what I mean by a swagoo, Kimberly. You know where I'm coming from. I'm not talking about the Cowboy, but you're thinking about Jerry. When you think about Jerry and what Jerry is doing, he is staining the very brand he loves, that he delivered 3 championships to, that he prides himself on upholding. He's actually going against himself and his own interest in the grand scheme of things. And it's very, very alarming to see.
I'm curious, does Jerry want us to believe that he cares about winning in Super Bowls? Because it's clear that he is putting the need for controversy and the distractions. He's creating the distractions. And that's what I don't understand, because when we picked on George Pickens a few weeks ago when he said the Cowboys are synonymous with Super Bowls. And we looked and we said, since when? How long has it been since they've won a Super Bowl? Was George Pickens even alive the last time they won Super Bowls? I just wish Jerry would focus on the football aspect, because there's so many good players on this roster. They draft well. This is an organization that drafts well. If they figure out how to improve on the margins, get some running backs, improve the interior of the defensive line, like run the football more. Like, there are actual things we should be talking about. And for Jerry to sit there and bring up the controversies, and for Emmett to say, why are you questioning us about this? That's a distraction. Emmett, it's the owner. It's the owner who is creating all of this. And I don't understand why Jerry wants us to think that it's about Super Bowls, because it's not. And we probably should talk less about the Cowboys' chances of winning, because the Cowboys, look at 29 seasons. And Jerry acts as though his team makes the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl every single year. And it's just so far from the truth.
So the blueprint has been out there to win, right? We don't have to make any we don't have to try to guess on if the Cowboys have been trying to win Super Bowls. They have not, because the examples are all over the place. One of the examples is in your own damn division. Who's been the two in the last 5 years based on moves that they've been made? Stephen A., I saw something where I think the cap hit for 3 of Philly's superstars is the single cap hit for Dak Prescott in Dallas. That number is the same for 3 guys that they have in Philly who just won a Super Bowl last year, who went to the Super Bowl two or 3 years ago. They have 3 guys with the same cap hit that one guy for the Dallas Cowboys have in Dak Prescott, and haven't been to a NFC championship, let alone a Super Bowl, in 29 years. Let's get that out the way. But my mind harkens to, what about the coaches? Like, how do they do their damn job, knowing that this is going to be the situation that they're going to be in the climate and the culture that they're going to be in? Stephen A., you and I and Molly, we sat on the show years ago when the Dallas Cowboys hired Mike McCarthy. And it was breaking news. Y'all know how we do it. Breaking news. And the question that I posed in all of the midst of that excitement was, can he do his job? Is he going to be able to do his job? Is the coach for the Dallas Cowboys going to be able to do his job? Here's Brian Schottenheimer. All right, let's go to the next one. We had Bill Parcells, we had Wade Phillips, we had Jason Garrett, we had Mike McCarthy, and now we own Brian Schottenheimer. Is he going to be able to do his job? And Jerry just gave you the answer. So as much as the indictment on football and the players and the contracts and all of that, there is a very difficult culture in order for a coach to have the ear and the attention of his football team because of what Jerry Jones creates and what he just told everybody that he creates. And that is where I'm always coming from when I say it translates to the football field. You are never the synonymous person that these players, as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, are looking to figure out what's the direction of this franchise and organization when it comes to winning. That's the owner. And as long as that's the owner, there will be no Super Bowls. There will be no championships until that locker room and that coaching staff can do football and Jerry handles marketing.
Let me say
this. But no, it's all intertwined, and that's the problem.
Let me say this. When we saw the footage of Michael Irvin